Activity 1. Set the tone. The goal of this activity is to establish a class agreement. This activity only needs to be completed once per group of students, so if you are teaching another curriculum prior to this activity can be skipped. To begin, first have students gather in a circle and play an icebreaker game of your choosing. You can also incorporate the globe ball, which is available as a part of this kit, into this activity. Your printed curriculum offers several examples on how to do this.
I'm so good.
Using a marker and the butcher paper, discuss and establish a set of class rules that they can all agree on. The printed curriculum has several example questions you may find helpful. When it is completed, have students sign their name or use a stamp pad to add their thumbprint. After the discussion, make sure students take the pre-survey. The surveys included are in English, but they're also available in Spanish. Read each survey question out loud and allow students time to think about their answers before writing them down on paper. Once the surveys are completed and collected, invite students to share their answers out loud. This is also a challenge by choice, as mentioned before. Please hold on to completed student surveys and submit them to your site manager after completing the curriculum. Side note, K-3 instructors, your curriculum may say otherwise, but please skip the pre-survey.
Activity 1, Parent Share. Activity 1, Parent Share, was first presented in Class 1, Activity 2, so we'll begin this walkthrough with Activity 2. If you are new to teaching the AKA Science curriculum or would like a refresher, please see the video guide for that class.
All right. Activity 3, Classification Station. The goal of this activity is to introduce classification to the students by having them sort themselves into groups. This activity will be done as a class. Begin by leading the class in a discussion about scientific classification according to the discussion prompts in your printed curriculum. Once students have an understanding about characteristics and how they can be used by scientists to classify animals into groups, have them sort themselves into groups by age. This may require movement around the room. Repeat that same activity with a new characteristic, such as favorite color, favorite ice cream, hair color, etc. This activity can be repeated as needed to fill time. When students have clearly demonstrated an understanding on how to classify things into groups, lead another discussion about why this might be very important to scientists. Activity 4, Is it alive? The goal of this activity is to learn about living things through classification. Additionally, students will use biosquares to test their own biological qualities. This activity will be done in pairs. After students are paired off, give each pair a paper plate with the following items on it: an eraser cap, a shell, a sponge, a cotton ball, a bead, a piece of gravel or a small rock, and a clump of moss. Make sure magnifying glasses are available to share as well. Using what they learned in the previous activity, lead students in sorting the objects on the plate based off of a characteristic of their own choosing. For example, whether or not the objects are bigger or smaller than a dime. Then, have students sort the object based on whether or not they think it was derived from a living thing. K-3 instructors, you can move on to the next activity. If you're a K-6 instructor, give each student a biosquare and have them press the square between their thumb and their index finger for at least 10 seconds. The biosquare should have changed color because of the temperature. Have students compare the color of the biosquare to the temperature chart. Next, have students hypothesize about the comparative temperatures of their different body parts. If they don't know what a hypothesis is, this is a great time to tell them how important they are to the scientific process. Repeat the same experiment after having students exercise for 30 seconds. Activity 5, Critter Identification. The goal of this activity is to explore how classification can be used to identify even unfamiliar animals. This will be done by having students play 20 questions to identify different rainforest animal figurines. This activity will be done in groups of 4. After leading the class in a discussion based off of the discussion prompts in your printed curriculum, give each group a paper bag filled with 4 different rainforest animal figurines. Tell the groups to remove the animals and observe them. Then return the animals to the bag before passing out the critter identification worksheet. In their groups, have one student reach into the bag and pull out a random animal without their partner seeing it. Instruct the partner to follow the 20 questions on the animal worksheet in order to identify the mystery animal. Have the kids switch roles until every student has completed the activity. Activity 6, Daily Debrief. As the name implies, this activity will be repeated at the end of every class session. The goal of this activity is to reflect on the topics covered during that class and how they apply to everyday life, as well as the overarching learning goals for the curriculum at large. Gather students in a circle, then post questions that enable thoughtful reflection of the day's lessons. You can do this in a pair and share format if you like, but you don't have to. Let students know that they'll get to keep some of the supplies they use in class, but not everything, and not every day. Make it abundantly clear that they should never put AKA science supplies in their mouths, with the small exception of the party blowout frog tongues you'll find later on in this curriculum. They also shouldn't put anything in their eyes, ears, or noses, or use them in any way that could hurt anyone else. If you feel that your students can't handle taking home supplies, feel free to not let them take them home. And finally, make sure to check your printed curriculum for a list of supplies to send home or to save.